If you've ever thought, my customers will leave if I can't offer that one thing, then this episode is for you. Today, we're digging into a live coaching call in Farm Marketing School, where we turn scarcity, fear, and assumptions into strategy and confidence and a mindset shift. So many of our business challenges will be won in our minds. Let's get started. Hey there, this is Corinna Bench, and welcome to the My Digital Farmer podcast. In today's market, it's not enough to just grow your product. You've got to know how to sell it too. Welcome to the My Digital Farmer podcast, where we reveal online marketing strategies and tips to help farmers like you get better and more confident at marketing. Learn how to find more customers, increase your sales, and build a strong brand for your farm. Let's start the show. Well, welcome to episode 336 of the My Digital Farmer podcast. I'm your host, Corinna Bench, one of the farmers at Shared Legacy Farms out in Elmore, Ohio. I'm also the founder of mydigitalfarmer.com, which is all about trying to help other farmers like you get more confident in your marketing and sales strategy so that you can grow a profitable business. How's everyone doing today? Welcome back to the podcast. Big shout out to my listeners. Really glad you're here. If you're new to the show, make sure you subscribe to the podcast and go check out my first 10 episodes because I designed them to be an on-ramp into the marketing lingo. If you have no idea about the basic framework of marketing, that's the place to go. Another good thing to do would be get onto my free email list, because when you do, I'm going to send you an email every 4 or 5 days for about 3 months. And they're going to basically walk you through the jungle of farm marketing and teach you the ropes, the key insights and principles, point you to the most important episodes, follow people you should be following, resources you should have and know about, a lot of freebies. It's really good. So just go to mydigitalfarmer.com/subscribe and you can get started on that. Today's podcast is sponsored by my friends at Local Line. If managing orders, customers, and inventory feels chaotic this season, it might be time for a better system. Local Line is the all-in-one sales platform built for farms and food hubs. Whether you're selling direct to consumer or managing wholesale buyers or running a CSA, with tools like e-commerce, automated inventory management, subscriptions, barcode scanning, box builder, and POS, Local Line helps you simplify operations and grow your sales. In fact, farmers using Local Line increase their annual sales by 23% and boost their average order size by 9.5%. Switching is easy. No setup fees, no sales commissions, and your onboarding manager will migrate your storefront for free. No joke. So that you can get started without missing a beat. As a podcast listener, you'll also get one premium feature for free for a full year when you use my code MDF2025 at checkout. So head to mydigitalfarmer.com/local line, use that coupon code, and you'll be on your way. Start selling smarter this season with Local Line. And now back to the show. Well, happy Halloween, everyone. That's coming up in a couple of days. And this is a fun fact, but tomorrow is my birthday. Yes, I was almost a Halloween baby, and my husband is probably going to be planting garlic. He always seems to do that on my birthday. We'll see if that happens again this year. We have just finished our CSA season last week, and so this has been a different week for me. I have a lot less on my plate, more rest, more bandwidth, and frankly, I have just been taking some time to do nothing. It feels really weird. It feels really weird to not be busy all the time, and I have to actually calm the voice down in my head that tells me I should be working and that I'm not valuable unless I'm working. Do you guys ever have that voice? Yeah, like I feel guilty getting caught in my lazy boy reading a book. So this is always a shift that I go through when we're transitioning from the really busy season to the winter season when we get a little bit of a break. But anyway, today's episode is going to be a little bit different. A few weeks ago, inside of Farm Marketing School, we have a monthly Zoom call where the members can come and just bring anything into the room. We sometimes share really cool things that are working in their businesses, share ideas. Sometimes they bring a question to the table and ask for some coaching support or ask the group for some ideas. And we had a live group call with several members. During that call, one of our farmers, Stacy, opened up about a really stressful problem that she was having in her business. She sells meat, and she has a membership model where her customers pay monthly to get first access to all her products. And right now, she is completely out of beef, like zero inventory, and she's not going to have any for at least 9 months. And she thinks that beef is the item her customers love and always want. It's her highest priced product, so she has a really high profit margin on it. And she's watching beef just go out the door in other places for ridiculous amounts of money, right? And she's just seeing this lost opportunity. And, to make things worse, it's just going to be several years before her own cows are ready. So she's kind of in a tough spot. I wouldn't say she was panicking, but she sounded frustrated. And the big question that she brings into the room is, how do I keep selling when I don't have the one product everyone wants? What if people leave? What if they go to my competitor? What if my membership loses value because I just don't have beef for sale and that's the thing that people want? And so I want you to listen in to the conversation. This was actually an hour-long Zoom meeting. We had several other things that we discussed, but I only chose this. I pulled out this excerpt because I have a feeling that this is something that comes up for some of you. And I thought that it was just really interesting to walk around the thoughts and the feelings that were going on inside of her and to notice them and to talk about, well, how do we need to shift how we think about this, because that's what's going to unlock us. So I think you're going to see how there's some really big mindset shifts that happen in the conversation that are powerful. There were some assumptions that were made. There was a lot of scarcity mindset. And I don't know if we solved the problem or if Stacy was gangbusters right off that call to go change and save the world. But I do think that she could see the perspective that we were talking about, and it gave her something to think about, to journal about, and to work on and to practice. A lot of when I get coached by my own coach and I bring issues to the table with her every week, the problem doesn't go away just because we talk it out. I have to practice a new way of being, a new way of thinking about it. And practicing still feels uncomfortable. Practicing is awkward. I notice the feelings that come up as I'm trying to practice being in a different way. Sometimes I have to just allow the feeling to be there as I'm practicing being the new version of myself, and I have to be comfortable with the both and, right? So I just want you to listen in on a coaching conversation and just see how we go about challenging the assumptions, how this process kind of works, because this may not be the specific issue that you're dealing with, but I can promise you that whatever challenge you're facing, a lot of it is likely based on thoughts that you're telling yourself that may or may not be the only way you can look at it. And so I just want to show you how it's possible to change the outcome by simply changing how you think about things, okay? So I'm going to play a few clips from that live conversation. In between the clips, I'm going to jump in, share some commentary, because there's some really big lessons in here that I want to tease out a little bit more. And I just want to say a huge thank you to Stacy, who shared so openly with the rest of the group. It's really hard to be vulnerable like this. And they all know before I get started on the show or on the Zoom call with them that some of this might end up on a podcast. And I just really appreciate how Stacy shared something that's very real and raw to her. And she was willing to kind of put herself in the hot seat and let us kind of tear apart the issue and look at it from lots of different angles, and that she was really open to seeing things from a different angle. So this episode isn't just for farmers who sell meat who have this very specific situation. It's for any farmer who has ever felt stuck or afraid or unsure of how you should move forward. So let's dive into this conversation, and I will meet you on the other side of the first clip.
Kind of sort of have a problem. I need more more beef, and we just don't have the supply for the demand that we have right now. And apparently that is a common theme with everyone that's pretty much close to us. So I just launched this farm membership thinking that we would have beef lined up. So that was kind of like the incentive for them to sign up for the subscription type model, because they would get first and probably only access to the next upcoming beef. That until 20, possibly the earliest would be June of 2026. Yeah, I'm just kind of struggling with the
When did you promise
thought.
it? Like, what are they expecting?
I didn't necessarily promise it. It was just more of like, since our steaks sold out in 24 hours, this was kind of, this was just one of the incentives of becoming a farm member. That whenever it did come back in stock, I didn't get a date because I wasn't sure on it anyways. But whenever beef did come back in stock, that they would have first dibs. So my thought is that if I'm not going to have beef for another 8 months, they pay $125 a month, which they get access to the rest of our products. They still get the 5% off discount. But everybody wants beef. And so I got some loyal customers, but I don't know if they're that loyal to like hang around for this farm membership if beef is not on the table.
Okay, this is Corinna interrupting here real quick. I just want you to go back and listen to that because she very articulately explained what her fear is. Did you catch it? That if beef isn't on the table, isn't in the store, that people will not want to continue with this monthly membership fee to have access to her products. And she's kind of decided and assumed that her product, her membership, isn't valuable to her customer unless beef is part of the equation. Now, I'm not sure that's actually true, but that is kind of an assumption she's making, and I want you to just notice that. So let's jump back in. So what do you find yourself doing or thinking?
I'm like frantically searching for a beef supplier.
Okay. And what are
Whether
you
it's on,
what are you telling yourself? That no, maybe you haven't said it out loud to anybody or you haven't said this to your customers, but what's going on in your head?
um,
Because I hear scarcity and fear a little bit. So what exactly?
yeah, I kind of like, I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know what my thought is around it other than I can't deliver.
Okay, so let's just assume that's a fact. You're not going to be able to deliver until, let's just say, July.
Hmm.
It sounds like you don't want to tell your customers this. Why? I'm not saying
Well,
you won't. I'm not saying you won't. You will, but like, just why are you having anxiety? Like, what do you think's going to happen?
they're gonna find somebody else that has beef more consistently.
Okay, and what does that mean? What does that
They don't
translate?
buy. Yeah, they don't buy from us anymore or as much.
So you're seeing lost revenue.
Yes and no. I just pulled up all of our sales for this year, and even with the beef we had, it's still not our top performing category by a long shot. Pork is. So that was
Interesting.
relieving, but I also know that beef brings people in.
Okay, so you're making an assumption there. If you don't have beef, what's going to happen to your business? Play it out in your head.
Um,
I'm not saying this is true, but what's going on in your head?
yeah, if we don't have beef, we're not gonna sell as much as we have been. So I pulled the data back from the first time that we offered beef, which was last year in November, and we've had beef pretty consistently over really until now. I just sold my last 10 pounds of ground beef to somebody a couple weeks ago. And
Mm-hmm.
that's it. I literally have soup bones and fat left.
Mm-hmm.
And even soup bones are flying out for some, well, it's broth making season. But um, I was looking back on the sales, and our overall sales significantly increased literally the moment that we had beef.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that it's kind of like eggs used to be for us. Eggs would draw people in, and then they would buy other things. Beef is what draws people in, and then they'll buy our other stuff. If they don't know us, if they know us, it's usually our chicken or our pork that brings people in. I know that for a fact, but I'm also like, I can't. Our farm will not be sustainable just based on the customers that are buying from us now. I still need to bring in new customers, and so the beef is kind of the way that we do that. And I'm very well, my prices are up there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's still, I still cannot keep it. I charged $14 a pound for our ground beef, and somebody bought the last 10 pounds that I had at that price. Like, I kept
Mm-hmm.
raising it every time we'd sell out. I would raise it $1. um, and I did that with our steaks. I mean, I was selling fillets for $57 a pound. Our ribeyes are right. Well, when we get ribeyes back in stock, they'll be $32 a pound.
You're inspiring, by the way. That's just great. We're all just sitting here in awe. I could never charge that much for a carrot. I don't mean to make
It's also
light of,
frustrating too. I'm like,
yeah.
I could literally charge $100. Like, no
Yeah.
lie, I could charge $100 a pound
Mm-hmm.
for a ribeye or for a New York strip or a T-bone or whatever it is, and no one would blink. And
Mm-hmm.
it's not even because of it's not because they know me. I had somebody buy 8 fillets from me.
Mm-hmm.
Never met them before. They'd never bought from us before, and turned around and bought 8 fillets. It's just like the beef market right now, because they're overall, it's just the scarcity of the beef market. And more people are realizing, like, the tariffs that are happening on imported beef, that's skyrocketing grocery store beef. So, but I just like, I want to raise our own, but I just don't have, I have the beef on the ground right now, but they're only 3 months old. So I have to wait, 2 years. And yeah, I don't know. I'm feeling frustrated because I don't
Mm.
have the product. I know what it is. It's the fear of missing out. By the time that I do have product in 2027, beef will be 10 cents a pound, is what I fear. I don't think that's going to happen. No,
That's
yeah.
what, yeah, that's what you're
Not with
telling.
the way that beef is going right now, but it's just the fear of, like, when I do have all of this beef, nobody's going to buy. Or they're already going to have somebody that's, they're going to choose somebody that's already established, regardless if they're still buying pork and chicken from us.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the thought. The reality is, I mean, if I have all 3 proteins that everybody eats, then 9 times out of 10, they're just going to make a one-stop shop, because we're still a convenience, we're still in a convenience era.
Okay, it's Corinna interjecting again. Oh, this is such a good example. And again, I'm so grateful to Stacy for just being a guinea pig and talking stuff out that was going on in her head, because I recognize what she was saying. Like, I've used those same exact arguments in my own farm business, in my own contexts. And I wonder if you have too. But here were some of the things I heard. I'm afraid if I don't have beef, no one will want to buy from me. They'll go to my competitor. My members will leave. No one's going to renew their membership. But she also kind of anecdotally, casually said, even though pork is actually my biggest revenue product, even though chicken and pork are the drivers that my current customers kind of go there first, right? And she immediately jumps to a worst case scenario, which is completely normal. And I have done this too. When we see a problem on the horizon, our reptilian brain decides to warn us by creating a scenario in our head of the absolute worst thing that could happen, so that we'll take action, so that we'll notice it and do something about it. And so I call this catastrophizing the future. I literally do this every week with some problem. I will just imagine it rolling out into its worst possible scenario. And we create stories in our head. We assume our customers care about the thing that we are fixated on, even when the real data is telling a slightly different story, and that may not be the only way it could end. And so, Stacy is emotionally reacting here to the absence of beef instead of looking at what her customers are actually also buying and valuing. Is she going to lose a little bit of revenue because she doesn't have the beef? Of course. But does it mean the downfall of her business spiraling out of control? Probably not. There may be a season here where she has to build a new cushion or a new buffer until she gets back to that place where she can continue on her journey to be a sustainable farm. She may have to put that on pause for a little bit and, come up with some other options. But it's very unlikely that her business is going to tank because of this. And so I just want to point out that, we tend to default to fear-based assumptions, and we decide the outcome before it happens, and then we'll show up with less confidence. And when we don't have confidence, it hurts our sales because we're less likely to go out there and push an offer, right? She's not going to push that membership offer as confidently now if she personally believes that it's not as valuable because she can't offer beef as part of it, right? And we will look at the fear-based assumption, we'll ignore the actual real data or buying behavior. And what if those customers actually value more than just the thing that we're feeling insecure about? It's possible, right? So I see this all the time with farmers where we assume that we know what our customers think. We assume that they're going to be disappointed, that they're going to leave, that they're going to go somewhere cheaper, that they're going to cancel their membership. You guys, I have an amazing track record for my own farm of doing an early bird CSA renewal every October, where I get a huge, 70 to 80% of the people will come back. And I've had that now for 6-7 years in a row. And still every year I have a voice in my head the 2 weeks before I open up the doors and open the card up. I have this crazy, irrational fear that this is going to be the year where a whole bunch of people decide to just quit my CSA and they're not going to support me anymore because I raised the price $10 or whatever. Maybe they've just been in it too long and they're done. Or they're going to jump over and become online store customers. I just have these irrational thoughts too. I do the same thing instead of looking at my data, looking at my track record, right? So our customers are already telling us what they value with their wallets. And this is an important mindset shift, not to build your business based on your fear or your assumptions, because those are just thoughts in your head and they are not necessarily true. So we want to build it on data. So what if her members actually bought the membership because of the chicken and the pork and the beef was like a little side bonus, right? What if they bought it for first access, for quality, for the relationship, for trust, for wanting to support a local business? What if they are totally happy just getting chicken and pork for the next 9 months, and then the beef comes back and it's like Christmas, right? What if they're totally going to be fine with that when they hear it? They might be a little bit disappointed, but maybe it isn't going to be a game changer for the majority of people. And you'll hear this come up in the call later, but I just want to point out here that sometimes the story in our head is way scarier than reality, and it stops us in our tracks, and it keeps us from taking action, and it freezes us. We have this instinct as animals, right? Like creatures, just to freeze when we feel like we don't know what to do. And then we stop pitching, and we don't show up with confidence. We undersell, we apologize, we shrink. But when we lead from confidence and clarity, our customers follow our energy. We're thought leaders in this space, so claim it, all right? Okay, I'm going to jump back into the Zoom call. And as we go through the rest of this, I want you to listen in. I want you to imagine that you were in that room. And what advice would you give to Stacy? Like, poke holes in her theory. Can you see where the thoughts in her head are tripping her up? See if you can anticipate what we might coach her to do instead. Okay, here we go.
I don't have any patience. And I need it yesterday. Actually, I really needed it like 6 months ago, but
what is the universe, like, I'm going to say universe, God, whatever. Like, I feel like there's a lesson here that you as a business owner are waiting to learn. What could this situation teach you if it just is what it is?
To be still. Really. And that I don't have to be in control of everything all the time, which is an extremely hard lesson for me to learn.
What if Stacy realizes 10 months from now that fill in the blank?
It's not an emergency.
What else?
That I'm still going to be successful no matter how many beef I have on the ground or in the freezer.
What else? What else do you know about Stacy?
If I can't sell the beef, I can sell the for a really good amount of money. It's true.
Stacy will figure it out.
Yeah.
Remember that comment about something will arrive on the radar screen? Oftentimes it's things like this.
Yeah.
That force us to get creative. What if you discover another really cool moneymaker because you had to?
Yeah. I could definitely do that.
I want you to maybe journal and reflect this month on this question of how could this, you started out by saying, I've got a challenge. You're looking at it glass half empty. How could this be an opportunity for you? And this is going to require you to imagine future stories that haven't happened yet. But let's just imagine that someone gets out of their DeLorean. They go, went into the future and they saw your life and they come back, they get out of the DeLorean and they're like, it all works out. Let me tell you. And they give you like 5 things that are going to happen, ways for you that you're going to end up being okay, if not better. Like journaling out, like, how could this perhaps be an amazing opportunity? What could happen? What lesson could you learn? What literally could happen? Opportunity could open up. Outcomes. And this will all be conjecture, but
yeah,
that is a really good exercise my coach makes me do sometimes when I'm in a similar space. And I get on this like rabbit trail and I go down, I catastrophize the future. And I assume everything's going to unravel.
Yeah.
Okay, this is me jumping back in. Let's slow this down because I think this is a really key turning point. Stacy thinks the problem is I don't have beef, which is the product my customers want. So they're all going to leave and my business is going to suffer. But what if that's not actually the real issue? What if the real opportunity is this? What if it's things like, what else could I create? What new offers could emerge? What new revenue streams are waiting to be discovered because beef is temporarily off the table? I don't know about you, but some of the best business ideas that we've come up with were born when something stopped working and we had to innovate. Remember the year of COVID? I mean, we had to shift some things dramatically, and I am so grateful now for that circumstance because our business became better because of it. Every time we've faced a systems issue in our business, and this is kind of a systems issue for Stacy. She has a huge demand and she is not set up to scale yet, right? This would all go away if she had enough cows. If she'd had the foresight to know that there was going to be this huge demand, she would have raised a whole lot more and they'd be ready. But she's growing faster than she thought and she doesn't have the product. And so this is a very normal situation to happen for a business when you're shifting and graduating from one scale to the next. And so she's just caught in that transition land, that no man's land, unfortunately. It's a hard place to be, a hard lesson to learn while you're going through it. But it's also very common. And there is a way to fix it. It just means, the market has proved that I can actually scale up now. And now I'm going to start that process. This may be the turning point. This may be the trigger that forces her and makes her realize, yes, it is safe for me to scale up. So when markets shift, products run out, a door closes, we are forced to get scrappy, we get creative, we get innovative, and sometimes we just are forced to finally build the system that's going to allow us to scale. Innovation does not often come when things are easy. It comes when our back is against the wall a lot of times. So I just want you to realize there's a lot of abundance still in Stacy's ecosystem, right? She still has chicken. She still has pork. She still has smoked products, bones, organs, broth kits, bundles, dog food, cooking classes, subscriptions, freezer packages. You should go look at the categories. She's the category queen. Look at the categories on her local line store. It'll blow you away. She has a loyal audience who trusts her. She has an email list. And sometimes we get so focused on what we don't have that we completely miss the value of what we do have. So what if beef running out isn't actually a crisis, but a catalyst? Fill in the blank for your business. What if the thing that you're turning into a crisis is actually a gift from the universe? It's a catalyst that's going to make you adjust and evolve. What if this is the moment that she reinvents her offer? She decides to build something even better than before, and she'll look back at this moment and say, this was why I did. So most breakthrough products and most of our growth periods in our business are actually born from these challenges, these moments of feeling constrained. And when we can't do it the old way, we're forced to ask what else is possible. And that question is where innovation lives. So instead of asking, how do I survive without beef? The better question is, what if losing beef is the thing that forces me to finally build the most profitable, creative, exciting version of my business yet? What if it's the thing that forces me to create a system, a production system, so that this doesn't happen again? What if this is the thing that forces me to graduate into a new level of entrepreneur? Right? We don't get to stay the same and expect our business to expand. Every time you hit a wall, it's actually an invitation. Are you going to rise to the challenge? Are you going to learn to think differently? Are you going to become the next version of yourself? And Stacy is bumping up right up at that edge. And it's a beautiful place to be. Stacy, if you're listening to this, it is a beautiful but also a scary place to be, Because on the other side of that mindset shift is a more resilient, a more confident, a more innovative entrepreneur. And she is going to have to change how she thinks, how she works in the world, the kinds of things she does with her time. If she wants to become that next version of entrepreneur, this is that crucible moment. So if you're listening and you're feeling stuck, maybe the question isn't, how do I fix this problem? Maybe the real question is, who is this challenge asking me to become? All right. And that mindset shift, seeing obstacles as invitations, is going to lead us into our next lesson. So let's take a listen to this part.
I have a question. Did you have some beef lined up and it fell through, or was it just not there?
Yeah, we had some people that we could buy on hoof from. And they just never followed through.
They probably just hauled it to the auction and we're done with it. Yeah.
100%. Because
Yeah.
I'm not like right now, I just don't have the in storage to buy, 10 head and send to the processor, at least right now. We will here in about 6 months. But we, so I'm looking to buy like 2 to 3 at a time, which, anybody that is doing this, well, I mean, even at the market, even at the sale, it's astronomical.
Yeah, we have beef too. Yeah.
Yeah.
We have 100 cows, so we raise our own, but we also do some sourcing too. And I've seen that very common, especially in the last year as beef prices went crazy, that it's easier to haul it and be done. So I know you're concerned about income and that kind of stuff, but you could also maybe just mention that to your customers that, hey, it lined up, but because of all this other craziness, hey, it's gonna be July.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've done that before with some other stuff because we also source from other, I call them our partner farms. They raise to our standards. And things happen. I had one guy just randomly retire, but he was in his 80s and it caused some supply issues for us. And I kept telling people that he retired. I had very little notice. We're working on it. And sometimes people are understanding and sometimes they're not. But sometimes I found the understanding customers are the ones I want. So that's just my experience that I've had. So anyways, I understand it though, because you do see the money just kind of not there because of it. And it's difficult. But you do get creative, I think, as you work through it. So anyways.
And another problem that I see happening too is like we have a new meat new meat producer at the market who they have very little beef too, but they are undercutting me something terrible. I'm still selling out, but it's frustrating because they're at $10 a pound for ground beef. I'm now at 14. So all my customers are going to see, this is the thought, it's not happening, but it's the thought, all my customers are going to see that their beef is cheaper. They actually have beef. We're going to go down there for them. They also sell pork too. So, and they're way cheaper than me when it comes to pork. So yeah, that's the fear is, these other people that are charging way less are going to, like, they're going to go to them and they're only going to buy it for a couple of years because that's all these people are going to be in business for. But it's also, like that couple of years you could have just bought from me.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Have you ever spun it to be like in like your emails or even your marketing, like social media, just, hey, you're supporting longevity here, paying the prices we have. I mean, I try not to make anything price focused, but we've had this before at our farmers market where someone will come in and charge way less than us. And some people are like, why are you more? I'm like, well, this is what it costs to bring it to the table. The other person's not going to be here in 2 years. And then honestly, no joke, 3 years later, the person came back and they're like, you were right. Well, yeah, but it's tough in the meantime. I won't deny that. So,
I mean, what if you do lose some people in your subscription?
find other ways to get money more consistently, which is
You
really
make
the goal.
you make it sound like, I mean, first of all, you're sold out. That's a really good problem to have in some ways because it creates a lot of demand and it inflates, the value of your product. When it does come back online, it's going to go crazy. You're going to have even more loyal fans. So this is almost like in this waiting period, you could begin to strategically plan so that this doesn't happen again, or so that if there is such demand, you can begin to get things into position so that 2 years from now, like you're just going to be, hopping. So this is one of those like learning curve moments. And yeah, it stinks because you have to sit in there and you see the money like you could have made. But the lesson you're learning, is it valuable? Is this the thing that finally makes you scale or do the hard thing that you didn't want to do? Or grow the mental muscle that's required to be that next level entrepreneur,
Yeah.
right? Challenges are so like be grateful for the challenges you get because they are always a teacher.
Yeah.
And you may just not see the lesson yet, but the breakthrough will come. I want you to tell me what it is when you spot it, because eventually
Okay.
it will arrive.
Yeah.
This is an opportunity. And the fact that you're sold out and you are in demand, people are going to, I think, be very understanding. They may decide not to do your subscription while they wait for the beef to come.
Yeah.
That's possible. So maybe that means if that's what's stressing you out, oh, I'm going to lose that, XYZ, whatever that amount of dollars is, I got to make that up somehow. Well, then that's the creative opportunity there to figure out a new offer stack, or a new thing you can tease and hold in front of them. If you stick around with me, this is what you'll get when the beef comes in. That's an option too. Or you could just assume they're going to be okay with it before you give away something. You could just try something and see if people stay loyal. You might be surprised you only lose 10%. I don't know. Don't immediately assume people are going to leave.
Yeah, I did a 5-day sales launch for the membership to my current email subscribers, and I met my goal on it. And then I just have like random people sign up. So
Yeah.
and it's one of those evergreen products. Like I don't really have a cap on it. I can serve as many as I need to serve. So yeah, and it's really not. I'm not really pushing the beef, so it's not like I'm promising that it's ever going to be there ever
Yeah.
again. But yeah, it's just the thought of like that's what people want, and it may not be.
It may not be as important as you think it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
And even if it is, and they drop out 4 months into it, when you bring it back online 6 months, 6 months later, they're going to come back and check it out.
Yeah.
So
It may be more expensive.
and you could even
you
use
should have dropped out.
yeah, or use the fact that you don't have this product as a way to grow the wait list.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. But I can see how you would see it that way at first.
Yeah. This is hopeful.
You have so much power. So get into that journal of yours and start like imagining, like you need to get into that space where you believe and you imagine that your future actually works out really well. And what is that woman doing? What is she thinking every day? What is she doing every day? How is that entrepreneur behaving? And start acting that way now. Because you're going to have to be a different woman to overcome this than you are right now, right?
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Cool. Thank you, Stacey, for being so vulnerable.
Yes.
But a very real place that many of us land in at some point. I hope you enjoyed this peek behind the curtain inside one of our farm marketing school coaching calls. These are real farmers dealing with real issues. And what I wanted you to see from this episode is that most of our difficulties are going on in our mind. They start in our mind, in our thoughts, in our thought world. And once you spot the thought that's driving your feelings and your actions, you can choose to practice another thought. And I'm not saying that it's easy to make that shift and just suddenly think something and totally buy into it right away. It is a practice. That's why it's called practicing. And the more you become aware that you're doing this, that you're letting your mind get ahead of you, that's kind of the first step. And then the next step is to try and imagine another way of being, another way of looking at the situation, another way of responding. Here's what I want you to remember from today's episode, that your business is not defined by a single product. Your business is defined by your ability to create value, no matter what. And that is the real superpower of an entrepreneur. And you have all kinds of power to innovate, to transform, to become the next version of yourself. And if you want to grow as a business and get to the next level, you will have to become a different version than who you are right now. Whatever issue you're facing in your business right now, the reason it's an issue and a challenge is because you simply haven't become the person that you are required to become to manage that situation. That particular challenge you're facing right now has been faced by many other entrepreneurs before you, and some of them figured it out and some of them didn't. Some of them successfully evolved and some of them didn't. And you will figure it out too, but not from the place where you are right now. You will have to become a different version. You'll have to think differently. You'll have to have different habits. You'll have to behave differently. You'll have to make different choices. You'll have to commit to things, not commit to other things. And this is all just part of the journey of figuring that out. That's the wonderful part of being an entrepreneur. So this wasn't really an episode about beef shortages. This was an episode about assumptions, scarcity, mindset, innovation, evolution, and how the challenges that we face in our business are often the very things that grow us into the next version of ourselves. So be grateful for them. They are the crucible in which you are becoming. All right. A special thank you to my friend Stacy for sitting in the hot seat and giving us such good material to walk around and learn from. I really value you in my community, Stacy. Thank you for being a part of our marketing school. And if you want to join the fun, we're going to be doing some cool things this winter. I would love to have you join our community for a few months. Maybe now that the season's winding down and you do a little bit of continuing ed, or maybe this is the time of year where you work on some bigger projects that you don't have time to do when you're out in the field. I want to invite you to consider making marketing be your project this winter, where you're going to come into Farm Marketing School and you're going to build, let's say, 3 key elements of your marketing machine. And I'll help you identify which ones they should be, which ones are the critical ones to handle first, and get them done. And take care of that piece. Shore up those walls. I'd love to have you be a part of our community and invest in you and believe in you and cheer you on and help you get to your finish line. If you want to learn more about how to join Farm Marketing School, you can go to mydigitalfarmer.com/FMS. Remember, it's a monthly membership. You pay a monthly fee. You can cancel whenever you want. So you can just join for a month, see what it's like. If you don't like it, you can stop. The average stay time is around 6-7 months, which is pretty good. People can get a lot done in that amount of time. So, all right, my friends, that's all I have today. Thank you for joining me for the last Wednesday of October 2025. I will catch you next week. The show notes today can be found at mydigitalfarmer.com/336. If you like today's episode, Please go leave me a rating or a review or send this episode to a friend. Share the link with them. I would love to have as many people as possible know this podcast exists. If you want to get onto my email list and get some marketing wisdom for free, I'll send you a tip like every 5 days for 3 months. Just go to mydigitalfarmer.com/subscribe. You can learn a lot simply from doing that. If you want to get more in depth and really get into the weeds and start building, that's when you can join Farm Marketing School with me and have access to me as your coach through that program. Don't forget, I'm also now on Instagram at mydigitalfarmer. I'd love to connect with you there. And thanks for joining me today. Have a great week. I'll catch you next time. Remember, I believe in you.